Hey everybody, it's Matt the Dice Chucker from the Literary Gamers. Today we're coming to you with another book review. Last week we looked at Steelheart, which is the first book in the Reckoner's trilogy. Today we are going to be taking a look at Firefight, the second book in the Reckoner's trilogy. I'm just grabbing my phone because I have some notes about the book that I want to talk about. First off, we have just a quick message from someone. All right. I thought I had more coming there, but just a quick message from someone. Here it is. All right, I'm interrupting this video because I heard a dirty rumor that over 80% of you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. What's holding you back? There's a tiny little red button underneath this video that says subscribe, and then there's a tiny little bell where you'll get a notification on your devices that tells you when you should be watching our videos. And if you watch our videos and subscribe, then you'll be kept up with all the content, do all the things. I can't list them off because there's so many things. Just go and do the things. All right, bye. So from this point forward, I'm going to be dealing in a lot of spoilers of the first book of the series, Steelheart, because it has massive ramifications on what happens in Firefight. A little bit before that, though, I read these books, Steelheart, Firefight, and then Calamity. I was not aware that there was a short story called Mitosis. And I think it was this an ebook? Anyway, I'm not sure where I would find it. It is an ebook, yeah. So let me know if it's something that I would enjoy reading, and then I can come back to that sometime down the line. But today we're taking a look at Firefight. So the big conclusion of Steelheart is they were able to meet him in the stadium. David found out that Megan, one of the Reckoners, was a spy for Steelheart, and that her epic name is Firefight. One of the big three, I believe, that Steelheart had close to him. One of the reasons, if you watched my Reckoner's playthrough last week, I was using Megan, and Firefight came up as one of the epics we could fight, and I was like, well, I'm not going to get into any spoiler territory here, but there is some stuff that I can't really say. This is it. We find out Megan is Firefight. We also find out that Prof has some epic abilities as well by the end of the first book. So, yes, spoilers for that because it has everything to do with what's going on here. So, basically, in Firefight, the Reckoners travel to what's the name of the town? Babelar. Yep, Babelar, which is basically Manhattan, but it's mainly been flooded by an epic who has control over water, Regalia, and that's going to be your main focus villain of this one. We don't really have Abraham and Cody in this book because when we get to Babelar, we meet a whole new group of Reckoners. Let me get their names here for you. Let's see. Val, who's the head of the whole thing. Excel, who is the giant. And, not giant, he's not a giant. He's a big guy. Big guy that can really... He's kind of like your fill-in for Abraham, right? And then Mizzy, who's basically tech. I wanted to keep calling her Q from Q Branch constantly throughout the whole thing. But anyway, they come into contact with new Reckoners. And yes, so a great deal of events happen as they're trying to get closer to Regalia and finding out more information about other epics that are coming in. One comes in named Obliteration that Prof has to go take care of. Prof is trying to contain his powers to the best of his ability, and he's doing what he can. We also discover that David is having, visions of Megan. They had a slight romantic connection in the previous book. I say slight because it wasn't confirmed by the end. There was a romantic connection. And after Steelheart was destroyed, she basically goes away. And when there's a part in the book when David is drowning and someone pulls him up and he kind of notices her in the crowd. And when he tries to really, approach her and get more information and talk, she eventually pulls a gun on him. She doesn't shoot him. He notices the safety's off. So he definitely feels like there's some stuff going on there with her as well. As this story begins to unfold, and they come upon Regalia, and they're able to reach the climax of the story. One thing is very clear, and that Megan was always afraid that she couldn't control her power, and she realizes that the only time that she has control over it is when she's around David, but by the end of the book, she does realize that she can control what she does. That being said, Prof does not. He loses control, and he basically becomes the epic that he was always afraid he would become. And that's pretty much what happens here. Without getting into the finer details of a lot of it, I'm just going to give you my thoughts on how this goes. First off, Steelheart was one of those books I didn't expect to like. As I said before, I was not used to reading young adult fiction, and when I had to read, I chose to read Steelheart because of the Reckoners board game, I was pleasantly surprised. But then again, this is an author who branches all the age groups. He's got the Alcatraz and the Evil Librarians, which are children's books, I believe, like not really young adult, but like right before young adult. He's got the Reckoners. What's the new one he's working on? Skyward? I don't know. Anyway, and then his adult books, Mistborn, Stormlight Archive, Elantris, all of those things. And he really is a prolific writer. So when I read his young adult stories, I didn't really see them as young adult. For him, they're short stories, right? Because when you look at these giant books for the Stormlight Archive, you can only say that to him this is like a novella. But anyway, it's also that interesting that when my other encounters with young adult books is not so much that story structure suffers in some cases, but that they have only so much time in the short span of what publishers are looking for in a young adult novel that it's oftentimes difficult to get everything you want across. Sanderson does it with ease, as I'm not surprised that he does. So I really enjoyed Steelheart. Firefight takes it to a new level. Whenever I hear I wrote a trilogy of books, I get worried, because if it was a planned trilogy, great. Then I look forward to seeing the changes you made in the story and how it grows in the second book. If you said it was an unplanned trilogy, that gets me a little concerned, because a lot of times the second in a series, either a book, movie, video game, you name it, is oftentimes a carbon copy, not to the extreme, but to at least an upgraded carbon copy of the original. I'm not going to name examples. You can think of probably 5 if you were to pause this video right now, because there are so many trilogies in film and video games especially that, this is just exactly the same as the last installment. So there is that. But in Firefight, I never felt that. I felt that what Sanderson was able to do was lay down the foundation of his world in Steelheart and give you the ideas of what's going on. And he expanded them in Firefight. I knew that, because they called it New Cago in the first one, that when we went to another city and we found out what the city was called, we were going to figure out quite quickly what it was before and how it had changed from its original form. I found the fact that Babelar was Manhattan flooded to be interesting. I think that perhaps Sanderson is looking towards the future. I don't know, where there would be a Manhattan that could be flooded. But also the fact that the story is not just, okay, here's our new villain. We're going to research the villain and come across a few chase scenes and action sequences that'll get us to being able to kill the villain. It was much different. The ending I actually did not see coming. What was basically what happened with Prof. So high marks there. The fact that this book deviates so far from the previous notions of what happened in the first one. Now there are some similarities, of course. When we take away Cody and we take away Abraham, you see, like I said, Excel was basically the next to Abraham, like a giant of a man. I don't think we had another Cody, but with Tia there, I think it was Izzy as basically the Q branch, right? Felt like they kind of shared and commiserated quite a bit on certain things. This whole series is a high recommendation from me, mainly because if you get all 3 books, it is possible to read them within days. I think I read Firefight in 2 to 3 days. It was engaging. Sanderson has a wonderful way of doing cliffhangers at the end of every single chapter that just makes you want to continue reading and reading. So, anyway, Firefight, the second book in the Reckoner's trilogy. Now, once again, tell me if I should read Mitosis, if I should seek out a copy, or if it's simply just an ebook. And then on Wednesday, I am going to run the second chapter of the Reckoner's board game. It's not really a campaign, but you can play it as a campaign. I'm not playing it as a campaign. We're just going to go up against Regalia. I think I will end up using the same 4 characters, which are David, Megan, Abraham, and Cody. Yes, I know that Megan is Firefight, but anyway, we'll keep going. And then the week after that, we'll do the same with the final guy in Calamity, and I'm not going to let you know what that is until next week. But for now, Wednesday, that should go up, basically fighting against Regalia to coincide with the book Firefight. And next Monday, we'll end the series with Calamity, the final book in the Reckoner's trilogy. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to listen to the pirate, everyone. We'll see you next time.